Chapter 1162. Yang Meirong was the first to explain. She took out the phone and said to Jixin, "Jixin, that's your uncle's daughter, Xiaoping." Who? Jixin didn't know who she was and he didn't remember who she was. Your uncle's daughter. Oh, the one from Nanhua village? Jixin's tone was obviously not friendly. Xiaoping, come say hi to Jixin. Yang Meirong wanted them to get closer to each other. After all, they were cousins. Yang Xiaoping walked over shyly and waved her hand. Hi Ji. She and Jixin were about the same age, so they didn't call each other brother and sister. Jixin didn't like her, so he ignored her and said to Huamin, who was standing behind her, "Sis, did you miss me? What do you think? Now that you have a brother-in-law, you've forgotten about your little brother. Hey, you little bastard, you look so cute when you're jealous. Sis, you're a chief doctor now. Is it really okay to call me a little bastard? Aren't you afraid of losing fans?" Jixin was amused by Huamin. "Okay, I'm not going to waste time with you. We're going to eat now. Here's the thick pork trotter soup, it tastes like mom." Before hanging up, Huamin didn't forget to provoke Jixin. As expected, Jixin was drooling all over the floor. "Huamian, if you come to New Zealand right now, I promise I won't beat you to death." After hanging up, Huamin continued eating the pork trotter soup and Chin-Chu ate some as well. Yang Meirong's cooking skills had improved over the years and there were a few classic dishes that Huamin and Jixin couldn't stop thinking about. After they finished eating, they looked at the time. It was already past 10 p.m. Huamin and Chin-Chu stood up. Just as they were about to get into the car, Yang Meirong suddenly said, "Mian, wait a second, I need to talk to you." Huamin nodded and stayed where he was while Chin-Chu got into the car first. Yang Meirong turned around and looked at Xiaoping, who was playing with her phone. "Xiaoping, you go back first." "Oh, okay." Yang Xiaoping glanced at Huamin with an unfriendly look in her eyes before she turned around and went back into the house. "Mom, what's the matter? Why do you have to talk to me in private?" Huamin smiled. "Mian, I went out to meet someone yesterday." Yang Meirong didn't get straight to the point. Instead, she paused for a moment. Perhaps she was afraid that Huamin would not be able to accept it. "It's Hu Jinghai, right?" Huamin asked. "How did you know?" His mother looked at Huamin in surprise. But what kind of person was Huamin? He knew what kind of person he was. Hu Jinghai was currently in a civil war with Hu Xiqian. Hu Jinghai needed money, so he had already asked her for help. She didn't help him, so Hu Jinghai turned his attention to Yang Meirong. Although his mother had a bad temper and was very direct, she was very soft-hearted. Hu Jinghai took advantage of her weakness and used her time and time again to get benefits for himself. This made Huamin feel disgusted. "I think his company is in trouble. You know, after Xinjiani's accident, he doesn't have anyone he can trust. After all, Hu Xiqian is an adopted son, so he and Jiang Hong are trying to take over his family's wealth. He's in a tight spot right now because he needs a huge amount of money. Even the banks won't help him." "How much did he say he needed?" Huamin asked calmly. Yang Meirong raised 5 fingers. 500 million yuan. 500 million yuan isn't a lot? Huamin nodded. "Yeah, I think Chin-Chu should be able to afford it. Can you help him?" "Mom, do you know what will happen to us if we help him?" Huamin looked up into his mother's eyes and asked. "Don't worry, he said that he'll pay it back in 2 months. After 2 months, he'll get the money back from his other projects. When he has enough money, he'll pay it back immediately. Also, to show his sincerity, he said that he'll give you and Chin-Chu 8% of the whole corporation's shares. I think these shares are quite valuable, so I wanted to ask you and see what you think." Chapter 1163. Most of the Hu Corporation's shares are in Hu Xiqian's hands, so what's the point of asking for that 8%? Plus, the Hu Corporation's stock market has always been unstable. If there's any negative news, the shares will become worthless. That's not a good thing. Seeing that Huamin wasn't going to let it go, Yang Meirong continued. "He wasn't a good person when he was young and he's always been a playboy. But now he's in a pretty pitiful situation." "Mom, a pitiful person must have something to hate. We can't help him just because we sympathize with him. Do you remember the story of the farmer and the snake?" Huamin was furious. Hu Jinghai once again took advantage of Yang Meirong's soft-heartedness and kindness. "Mian, I know that, but you haven't seen him yet. He's old and clumsy with a head full of white hair. You know how soft-hearted I am and I really can't stand it anymore. What I mean is, Even if you don't give him 500 million yuan to marry him, you can at least give him 100 million yuan. You don't have to be afraid that he won't pay you back. He can use the real estate under his name as collateral. Mom, it's not a matter of whether or not he'll pay you back. If he really just needs money, I can ask Qin Chu to lend him the money. But the problem right now is that he's in a civil war with Hu Xiqian. If we help him, we'll be taking a side. When the time comes, Hu Xiqian will treat us as enemies. You probably don't know how scary his adopted son is. Let me put it this way, even Qin Chu is wary of him. He's that powerful? Yang Meirong looked surprised. She didn't expect this either. What do you think? If Hu Xinghai lost so badly, would he need to go around borrowing money? You're right. Yang Meirong lowered her head sadly, as if she was in a difficult position. Mom, he's playing the emotional card with you. He knows your weakness and wants to take advantage of it. People like him don't deserve our help, and we don't have to fight against Hu Xiqian for him. Also, you might not know this, but he hasn't been back to the Hu mansion for a long time. He's been living outside. He's keeping a university student in Aohai Garden. She's only in her second year of university and she's only 20 years old. She's even younger than me. Not only does he care about his career, but he also wants to have a son. A man who is never content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Do you think he's worth my help? Are you telling the truth? Or did you hear it from someone else? Yang Meirong asked with her eyes wide open. Take a look for yourself. Hu Min took out his phone and opened a link to a news article. This was a piece of gossip that had been released a few days ago, but no one liked to pay attention to Hu Xinghai's news, so there wasn't much of a reaction. However, the photos were extremely clear. The first one was of him holding a girl's hand at the entrance of his neighborhood. The girl looked sweet and she was wearing a red mink coat and a white beret. The second one was of them shopping at the supermarket. He was pushing a cart and the girl was intimately holding onto his arm. The third one was even more shocking. They were kissing passionately in the car. Although it was only the side of Hu Xinghai's face, one could still tell that it was him. After Yang Meirong saw it, her heart sank bit by bit. She couldn't believe that she still believed that old bastard. She was almost fooled again, that old bastard. It's karma for him to end up like this. He who is unjust is doomed to destruction. That's right, he's the type of person who's still in the mood to keep a university student. That's why I'm not willing to lend him 500 million yuan. How do I know if that 500 million yuan won't become a mansion or a Porsche that he bought for that girl? That's enough, Myung. I understand now. He'll never see me again. Yang Meirong was so angry that she turned around and left. After standing outside for a long time, Hu Min was freezing. After they got into the car, Qin Chu turned on the heater so it was warm inside. Honey, let's go. Hu Min smiled and put on his seatbelt. After Yang Meirong got home, she sat down on the sofa with a belly full of anger. Yang Xiaoping, on the other hand, shamelessly walked up to her. Auntie, I'm really curious. How did Sister Hu Min meet her husband? How did she suddenly marry into a rich family? She's not that good-looking, nor is she very educated. Chapter 1164. Maybe it's because they were childhood sweethearts back in high school. Yang Meirong wasn't paying close attention, so she didn't sense the jealousy in Yang Xiaoping's voice. They knew each other back in high school? Yang Xiaoping was a little confused. Yeah, they were in the same class back in high school. Back then, the school forbade people from dating at such a young age, so they were still. I used to think that it was an ill-fated relationship, but now it seems like your cousin was right to marry Qin Chu. His parents aside, Qin Chu treats Mian extremely well, and he always lets her do whatever she wants. Yang Meirong truly accepted Qin Chu from the bottom of her heart, and she approved of him. It was said that time was the best weapon to test a person, and in the blink of an eye, Hu Min had been married for quite some time. She had a bad temper and would occasionally throw tantrums. There were a lot of negative news about her, and she didn't have a baby yet. She didn't have a good relationship with Qin Chu's parents either, so any other man would have lost their patience a long time ago. However, Yang Meirong noticed that Qin Chu was treating Hu Min better and better, and she was truly satisfied for her daughter. It seems like Mian went to an elite high school, or else she wouldn't know so many big shots. Her tuition must have been quite expensive, Auntie. How could you be willing to spend so much money on her? Wasn't your family poor back then? Did you have to starve to pay for Mian's education so that she could flirt with men? Yang Xiaoping said with disdain. Yang Meirong was a little upset upon hearing this. and she looked at Yang Xiaoping in disbelief. What are you talking about? I mean, Mion's school fees were so high back then, was it really necessary? What if she didn't marry into a rich family, then wouldn't your investment have failed? Second High is the best school in the city, so it's normal for them to accept her. Plus, she performed exceptionally well and didn't spend a single cent on school fees in her 3 years of high school. The school didn't even pay for her books, so she only spent a little on living expenses. However, living expenses are something that can't be avoided. She's a day student and doesn't live in school. She eats at home, so she didn't spend much money. Plus, back then we let her study at Second High not because we wanted her to marry into a rich family, but because we wanted her to have a bright future. If it weren't for your uncle suddenly. Yang Merong choked up as she spoke. If your uncle didn't die suddenly and your cousin didn't want to leave Jixin and me, she would have gone to the States right after high school. Yang Merong vaguely remembered that when Hua Mian graduated from high school, she won the attention of the entire city as the top scholar on the college entrance exam. Hua Min even received offers from universities in several countries, all of which were Hua Min's favorites. If Jingde didn't die, Hua Min wouldn't have stayed in the city to study. At the very least, he would have become a doctor at the best medical school in Jing City. He wouldn't have had to take so many detours. In the past, she would have thought that Jingde's death had something to do with Hua Min, so she hated him. But now Yang Merong's heart ached for her daughter, who had to take such a difficult path because of her family's change. Jixin was right, Mion's life hadn't been easy all these years. I didn't know Mion's grades were so good. Then there's nothing I can do, I can't imitate her. My grades were terrible and I didn't even finish middle school before my dad stopped me from studying. He said it was useless for girls to study so much, and that it was better for them to marry into a good family. And do you think my dad made sense? Chapter 1165. Your dad has a point. Marriage is very important to a girl's life. Yang Meirong nodded. I'm so jealous of my cousin. I can't believe she got married to such an outstanding man. Yang Xiaoping rested her chin on her hands as she struggled with the question of Hua Min. She didn't think her cousin was a great beauty, in fact she didn't think Hua Min was as pretty as her. She really didn't know what that man liked about Hua Min. Your cousin-in-law is outstanding, but so is Hua Mian. Although they don't come from the same family background, I think they're on the same level mentally. Otherwise they wouldn't have such chemistry. Although Yang Meirong was old, she used to be an educated person and used to be in the entertainment industry. Naturally, she understood what mental nourishment was. Auntie, what's mental nourishment? Can't beauty attract a man? Yang Xiaoping asked confusedly as she touched her face. You probably wouldn't understand even if I explained it to you. Okay, stop thinking about it. Go back to your room and sleep. Yang Meirong wasn't in the mood to chat with her niece, so she chased her upstairs. Then Yang Meirong sent Hua Jinghai a WeChat message. I asked Hua Mian and tried to help you, but she refused. There's nothing I can do, you're on your own now. Hua Jinghai was taking a shower in a female university student's rented apartment. The girl heard his phone ring, so she picked it up and glanced at it. Jinghai, you have WeChat, the girl said sweetly. It was quite awkward for a 20-year-old girl to call Hua Jinghai, who was in his 50s. Hua Jinghai walked out of the bathroom with a towel wrapped around his waist and glanced at his phone. Stupid bitch, I can't believe I couldn't trick her. Hua Jinghai thought that if Yang Meirong really wanted to help him, she would have forced Hua Min to lend him the money. In the end, Yang Meirong didn't put in enough effort and didn't persuade Hua Min. Unwilling to give up, he replied, Rong, if 500 million isn't enough, then 100 million isn't enough? We're husband and wife and I'm Hua Mian's father. Please help me, I don't have anywhere else to go, or else I wouldn't have made things difficult for you. He continued to put on a pitiful act. However, Yang Meirong already knew the truth, so how could she be soft-hearted? Really? You're at your wit's end, so you're keeping a college girl? Hua Jinghai, you're at your wit's end, so you want to give birth to a son to fight against Hua Xiqian? But I advise you to forget it. You're already so old. If you tire yourself out and give birth to a daughter, your hopes will be dashed. Even if you give birth to a son. Do you think that adopted son of yours will give you the time to wait for him to grow up? Hua Jinghai, karma reaps what you sow, don't be too evil really. God is watching over you. Hua Jinghai was rendered speechless. He immediately realized that Yang Meirong already knew everything. How could he lie to her? Looks like I've blocked another path. On the way back, Chin Chu didn't drive fast because it was snowing and the road was slippery. Hubby, what do you think of my cousin? That village girl? Chin Chu frowned slightly. Huimin nodded. How do you want me to evaluate it? Chin Chu was a little embarrassed. Just tell her the truth. I think she's a little simple-minded. That's why I don't recommend her to stay and take care of mom. If you want a nanny, you should find one who's mentally sound and has undergone professional training. The kind that pays 10,000 a month and does things cleanly and efficiently. I don't understand why you want her to stay. Chin Chu's words were truly harsh. If a girl knew that the man she had always admired called her simple-minded, she would probably want to bang her head against a wall. Huimin wanted to laugh, but he held back his laughter. The reddest explained, because she's cheap, 3,000 is enough. However, Chin Chu added fuel to the fire. Cheap things don't mean good things. Good things don't come cheap. This time Huimin almost burst out laughing. Then she happily turned her head to look at Chin Chu and confess. Mr. Chin, I love you so much. She said it with a straight face. She swore that she was serious. However, what Chin Chu said next shocked her even more. Chin Chu said. Chapter 1166. Love isn't for words, it's for actions. You win. Huimin covered his face with both hands, completely impressed. She had confessed so seriously, but why did Mr. Chin respond so crazily? Back to the topic, Mom wanted to talk to you about Huo Jinghai, right? Chin Chu asked. Not bad. You know how to call me Mom now. Money is indeed powerful. 20,000 yuan was all it took to get you, Huimin said proudly. Chin Chu was speechless. Can't we have a nice conversation? Yes, haha, Mom did want to talk to me about Huo Jinghai. That despicable bastard took advantage of my mom's kindness and softness to play the victim. My mom was almost tricked by him again. Then what did you say? Don't be so quick to reject her, don't hurt her feelings. Chin Chu cared about his mother-in-law's feelings, so he tried to persuade Huimin. I don't care, I just showed my mom evidence of Huo Jinghai keeping college students as his mistress. That's simple and violent. Mom must be very sad. She's okay, the truth is that she doesn't have any feelings for him anymore. She just feels sorry for him. That man squandered my mom's last bit of feelings for him time and time again. People like him are the worst. It's good that you're okay with it. Let's not get involved in the Huo family's business, or else we'll be in deep trouble. I know, even if you asked me to help I wouldn't. I'm not a saint, I won't help someone who once treated me like dirt, and I definitely won't make an enemy out of a man who's scarier than the devil. Chin Chu nodded. Then the couple returned to South Hill Manor. After Ni Yang's test results came out, everything was normal. Huimin talked to Ni Yang's original surgeon and finally decided to give him back his freedom. Therefore he called Chin Chu and told him about Ni Yang's arrangement. GK was very efficient, and on the same day, they announced that Ni Yang would be taking over director Chen's film. Ni Yang happily sent Huimin 8 red packets of 200 yuan in a row, thanking Huimin for her help. The days passed by one after another. As the end of the year approached, GK Media and Imperial Star Entertainment began to compete with each other. There were many New Year's movies at the end of the year. The celebrities from the Liang family's company competed in movies, appearances and box office sales. Some people were bored, they took photos of the presidents of the two companies and began comparing their looks. The scene was especially brutal. GK headquarters, when Chin Chu walked out of the conference room after the meeting, Assistant Yang handed him his phone. Boss, the branch office in T-City just called. Something happened to Director Jiang. What happened? Chin Chu was extremely calm and didn't care about Jiang Linyue's condition at all. Apparently, when President Jiang went out to investigate the construction site, something happened. She was hit by a pillar and was injured. Luckily, the injury wasn't serious and her bones were just dislocated. However, she needs to recuperate. Vice President Ji Qinglin is in charge of things over there for now. Okay. Chin Chu nodded, indicating that he was satisfied with the personnel arrangement. Sir, President Jiang already called to ask for leave. She hopes that she can take paid leave as soon as possible. Approved. President Jiang also said that she'll reimburse the company for her hospitalization and recuperation. Approved. Chin Chu was an upright person. Even if Jiang Linyue hated him, he would still do business. If that woman really was injured at work, then he had to take care of her and give her paid leave. Boss, but President Jiang also said. Assistant Yang continued to say. You better finish it all at once because I don't have much patience when it comes to her. Chin Chu was a bit impatient and frowned slightly. Chapter 1167. Sir, President Jiang also said that she wants to come back to Sea City for treatment. After all, she's a woman with no family in the outside world, so she wants to apply to come back here. Assistant Yang spoke carefully as he observed his boss's expression. Even Assistant Yang could tell what Jiang Linyue was thinking. She wanted to apply to come back to Sea City for treatment. Once she recovered, she wouldn't go back and would stay at HQ. This move directly contradicted a young lady's original decision. Assistant Yang wasn't sure if the president would agree or not. After all, she was injured. Most men would sympathize with women, and Jiang Linyue was quite good at playing the sympathy card. Upon hearing this, Chin Chu paused in his steps and turned to look at Assistant Yang. Tell her, if she continues to stay in Tea City for treatment, the company will pay for all the expenses. If she wants to come back, that's fine, but she has to submit her resignation letter. Assistant Yang didn't expect the president to be so ruthless. What? Do you have any objections? Chin Chu glanced at his assistant's face indifferently. No. Then Chin Chu turned around and walked into his office. Assistant Yang picked up his phone and called Jiang Linyue. President Jiang, Assistant Yang, how did it go? What did Chin Chu say? Jiang Linyue seemed to be anxious. Director Jiang, the president said. Assistant Yang bit his lip, not daring to say it out loud. After all, Jiang Linyue's expression wouldn't be good if she heard it. What did he say? Hurry up and say it, I'm so anxious. Did President Qin agree to let me go back? Jiang Linyue was pleasantly surprised. When she first thought of this idea, she thought it would work. No matter how cold President Qin was, he was still a man, and any man would sympathize with someone. She thought of everything, but she forgot that Chin Chu didn't care if she went back or not. Instead, he cared that Huamin didn't want her to go back. That was the main point. It was Huamin's decision to transfer Jiang Linyue away. If he transferred her back now, Huamin wouldn't think too much about it, but he would still feel uncomfortable. After all, no one wanted to see a scheming bitch in front of them all day long. Boss said that if you want to continue recuperating in Tea City, your expenses will be covered by the company and your leave will be approved. However, if you want to come back here, you have to do something first. What is it? Jiang Linyue was impatient and she hated Assistant Yang for being so slow. I need to submit my resignation letter first. Jiang Linyue fell silent. Is this really what the president wants? Jiang Linyue gritted her teeth and slowly asked. Director Jiang, I'm just a small assistant. No matter how bold I am, I wouldn't spread rumors. Yang said innocently. But why do I feel like you're closer to a young lady? Did Huamin tell you to say that? What the hell? What does this have to do with a young lady? You're really funny. Yang was really unhappy. A young lady hadn't been to the company for a long time. Would she care about such trivial matters? Jiang Linyue was truly a petty woman who was jealous of the heart of a gentleman. You better not. Then Jiang Linyue unceremoniously hung up the phone with a bang. She looked at the bandage on her leg. She was indeed injured, but she did it on purpose. She set up an accident for herself. It was just a light kick, nothing serious. However, she exaggerated the severity of the accident to gain President Qin's sympathy. She didn't think that Chin Chu would be so heartless. Why can he be so nice to Huamin but treat me like dirt? Jiang Linyue angrily pushed over the vase on the coffee table and smashed it into pieces. Chin Chu treated Huamin well, spoiled Huamin and indulged Huamin, making many women jealous. For example, Song Yisher, Jiang Linyue and even Yang Xiaoping were jealous. However, they all forgot the most important thing. Chin Chu was only nice to her because she was Huamin. If it wasn't for Huamin, no matter how beautiful or outstanding she was, it would be useless. At noon, Huamin went to the cafeteria for lunch, and to his surprise he saw Huasiqian. He held a tray of food and sat directly across from Huamin. Are you going to ask why I'm here? Huasiqian said the eternal line for Huamin. Chapter 1168. Huamin nodded honestly. She really did want to ask. As the president of the Hua Corporation, he didn't appear at a seafood restaurant or a high-end Western restaurant at noon. Yet he actually appeared at Southside's noisy cafeteria. It was indeed a bit out of place. I want to eat Southside's food. Huasiqian actually subconsciously wanted to say, I miss you, but Huamin probably wasn't mentally prepared yet, so she changed her lines to be more meaningful. You're crazy. Huamin lowered her head and cursed as she ate. Although Southside's food had improved a lot, it still wasn't to the point where it was delicious. This Huasiqian was purely crazy. You've been looking good lately. Huasiqian smiled and looked at Huamin seriously. Huamin subconsciously touched her face. Yeah, I'm preparing for pregnancy, so ginseng, deer antler, chicken soup, Chinese medicine, etc. I don't reject anything. So nutritious, how can I not look good? Actually, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. Why are you in such a hurry to have a child? You're still so young. Huasiqian smiled. I like children and so does Qin Chu. It has nothing to do with age. Huamin calmly explained her point of view. Huasiqian picked up the meat on his plate that he hadn't touched and placed it on Huamin's plate. Because he saw that she seemed to have a good appetite and kept eating meat. Huamin was just about to refuse when Huasiqian said, my blood pressure has been high recently, and the doctor said that I can't always eat meat. Seriously, do I really have to live like a monk from now on? Huamin burst out laughing. What are you laughing at? It's not that serious. High blood pressure is not a big deal. You should pay attention to your diet. Don't be too oily and spicy. Eat less things with high protein and exercise more. If it's too high, you can take some medicine to lower your blood pressure. But I don't recommend taking medicine. I think diet therapy is the best treatment. Well, you're becoming more and more like a doctor. Tycoon, I heard that since you became the chief physician of the neurology department, your annual salary has soared to 1.2 million yuan. You know, quite a lot. Huamin lowered his head and smiled. Her salary had indeed skyrocketed, which was a pleasant surprise. Southside was a high-end hospital. Normally, an ordinary doctor's annual salary was 600,000 yuan. She was a chief physician, so naturally she had to double her salary. An annual salary of 1.2 million was something that Huamin didn't even dare to dream about. But now he had achieved it. She was very good at managing money. Every month she would give her mother a few tens of thousands of yuan. She would spend a portion of her own money and leave a portion for Jixin to use when he got married. Qin Chu's salary was also transferred to her account every month. Therefore, Huamin could be said to be a little rich woman now. Every time I see President Wu, he always praises you. How could I not know? Keep a low profile. Keep a low profile. Huamin made a shushing gesture. At that moment she was so adorable that Huasiqian felt like his heart was about to melt. He had the urge to pounce on her and kiss her fiercely, but he could only think about it. Huamin was slow to warm up, so those who wanted to pursue her would have to take their time. If he was too hasty, it would only backfire. Huasiqian looked at Huamin with a strange expression on his face. Huamin frowned. What's with that look? What look? Huasiqian laughed. Why do I feel like it's the look of a dog looking at a bone? Huasiqian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Little sister Mian, can we change the analogy? That's not a very friendly analogy. Huamin ignored him and continued eating. Oh right, didn't Hu Yanyan treat you badly in the past? Do you want revenge? I can easily ruin her reputation. Huasiqian smiled sinisterly. Chapter 1169. I don't want to. Huamin refused without hesitation. What? You don't want revenge? No, she's already in a miserable state. I don't want to kick her when she's down. Plus, she's been quiet lately. Ever since her mom and brother got into trouble, she's been keeping a low profile. I don't want to bully someone who's on the verge of breaking down. Huamin used to dislike Hu Yanyan because he thought she was stupid and annoying. But now he really didn't feel that way anymore. He would even help her when those socialites bullied her. This wasn't repaying evil with kindness. It could only be said that the word Hu couldn't be written with one stroke. Although she wasn't born into the Hu family, Hu Yanyan had known her since they were kids. Even if they were enemies, there was no need to be so cruel. Hey, you're always so kind. Huamin ate quietly and didn't continue the conversation. Did the old man come to you recently? Yeah, I rejected him. Good girl. He won't be around much longer. Huasiqian smiled proudly. Then, what about Xinjiani and Huisi? Huamin was curious. He heard that Hu Zhenghai locked Xinjiani up after the incident. That pair of mother and son ran away. Ran away? Huasiqian nodded. Yeah, she ran away with the adulterer. They left the city. According to my reliable sources, they went to Australia. Then, what about Hui Yanyan? Huamin was a little surprised. I don't care about that. Xin Jiani can't even protect herself. But that woman is still very powerful. She didn't give me everything when I forced her. When she ran away this time, she took away the safe she kept in the bank. I guess there will be some money and jewelry in it. She can't leave empty-handed. She must have figured out that she can't get any benefits from the old man. Especially if she drags on, it's better for her to leave. When the old man falls, she will come back. Then Hui Yanyan was abandoned just like that. Huamin felt quite upset. Hui Yanyan was basically at the point where her grandmother no longer doted on her and her uncle no longer loved her. Her biological mother and adulterer had run away with her younger brother, and her biological father had taken care of a college student outside. She couldn't even stay in the Hua family properly. This was because the Hua Xiqian and Jiang Hong ruled over the Hua family. Hua Xiqian said disdainfully, "Oh, she hasn't been home for a long time. I heard that she met a man outside. He's a small contractor. She's been hanging out with him for a long time and has given up on herself." Huamin was completely silent. Hui Yanyan was once a proud daughter of the heavens. She started out as a dancer, knew how to play the piano, and was dressed in branded clothes. She used to be a famous socialite in the circle and was quite pretty. But now she was in such a pitiful state. She actually understood Hui Yanyan a little. She loved Hua Xiqian deeply but couldn't get him. In the end, she decided to avoid Hua Xiqian. In order to leave the Hua family, she had to find herself a place to stay. Maybe there was no love between her and that small contractor. But at least she had a place to stay for the time being. Then, what about her share of the company? Oh, I took it all back. She wanted to date that kid from the Shin family for a while. She didn't have any clothes to wear, so I lent her 500,000 yuan to buy clothes and jewelry. She mortgaged it to me. Huamin was speechless. Hui Yanyan sold her share of the company for 500,000 yuan? Seriously. Huamin didn't know what to say. Mian, do you feel sorry for her? Hua Xiqian moved closer to Huamin's face. His voice was mysterious and hoarse, and there was an unreadable light in his eyes. There's nothing to feel sorry for. The winner takes all. Isn't that the rule of survival? Huamin calmed himself down and replied. Hua Xiqian left after having dinner with her. Huamin also got back to work and stopped worrying about Hui Yanyan's current situation. At the Su family mansion, huh? Old man, you're back? Su Yu saw his grandfather sitting in the living room drinking tea as soon as he walked in. Brat, come here. I have something to talk to you about. Which socialite's daughter is it this time? You made me go on blind dates all at once. Su Yu seemed to know his grandfather very well. Brat. Mayor Song has a daughter who's about your age. Mayor Song called me last night to tell me. Song, you sure? Su Yu was so angry that he almost stomped his feet. Chapter 1170. Yes. That girl's name is Song Yisher. I heard that she was studying abroad in Italy and then, before Lord Su could finish, Su Yu interrupted him impatiently. Old man, are you crazy? You want to introduce that bitch to me? Do you know how bad her reputation is in the industry? Su Yu was about to explode. Luckily, his grandpa told him this directly. If it were Mayor Song, he probably wouldn't be able to resist slapping him. Was Su Yu blind? Why would he want Song Yisher? You know her? Lord Su came to a realization when he heard his grandson's words. I don't just know her, I've seen her many times. That woman is terrible. I've never seen such a terrible woman in my life. You want to introduce her to me? Are you okay? Do you want the Su family to have no descendants? Is it that serious? I sent someone to ask around and she's not bad. They said that the girl is good-looking, highly educated and reasonable. Tell me, who did you ask? I'll slap him to death right now. I'll make him lie through his teeth. Su Yu was furious. Before Lord Su could speak, Su Yu pointed at his grandpa and asked in all seriousness, Old man, does my grandma know that you have such bad taste? Lord Su was speechless. Wasn't he just looking out for a blind date for his grandson? Did he have to drag his deceased grandma into this? It was obvious how angry Su Yu was. Don't talk nonsense. Sit down and tell me what's going on. Seeing his grandson fly into a rage, Lord Su also felt that there might be something fishy going on. Therefore he patted the seat next to him, and Su Yu immediately went up and wrapped his arms around his grandpa's neck. Old man, let me tell you, This woman's appearance is all fake. She's reasonable, kind-hearted, and graceful. Other than her face, everything about her is fake. Also, you don't know how bad she is. She likes GK's president, and knowing that he's married, she still tried to ruin their relationship. Don't you also like GK's president's wife? Are you more noble than her? Lord Su was quick-witted. After the incident with the military doctor, Lord Su sent someone to investigate and found out that his granddaughter was infatuated with a married woman. At the time he was quite angry, but after an in-depth investigation he found out that it was just his grandson's one-sided love, and he didn't do anything immoral. Lord Suyu was appeased and didn't pursue the matter. It wasn't hard to imagine that Suyu had never spoken to his grandpa. He had never bullied the weak Suyu just because his grandpa was the head of the military. Even when he was at a bottleneck when he started his business, he didn't need his grandpa's help. Now, because of a couple who was hospitalized, he needed to transfer a military doctor. How could Lord Su not investigate something like this? Grandpa, how is that the same? My love was one-sided. I didn't do anything to ruin it. I was just following my own thoughts. Song Yisha, on the other hand, has been trying to drive a wedge between her and her mother-in-law. Just yesterday, she forced Huamin to go on live TV and compete with him in IQ. I think that Song Yisha is not only a scumbag, but also a retard. If you say that, then you definitely won't go on a blind date? Lord Su glanced at Suyu. His expression was quite serious. Of course, let me tell you this, Grandpa. Even if all the women in the world died and in the end only Song Yisha and Asao were left, I would definitely choose the Sao, there's no doubt about it. Upon hearing Suyu's words, Lord Su almost spat out a mouthful of tea. His grandson's mouth was really wicked sometimes. He belittled a girl to the point that she was worse than a Sauk. That was why it was said that no one should offend Suyu. His mouth was as nasty as Mr. Chin's. Alright, since you've said so, I won't say anything more. I believe that you still have the most basic judgment. I'll reject Mayor Song right now. After saying that, the old man picked up the landline and dialed a number. On the other side, the Song family was trying their best to persuade their daughter, Song Yisha. Sure, I don't want to nag you, but Chin Chu, don't think about him. We're so good, there's no need for you to suck up to him. The Su family is many times better than the Chin family, and with their connections to the military, your dad might be transferred to the province in the future. You have to think about it. Chapter 1171. Mom, I hate Suyu. Song Yisha's face darkened as she refused. Even if you like him, it's not going to happen. The Su family just called and the old general rejected my proposal. Mayor Song walked over and said unhappily. That's good. I don't want to see Suyu anyway. That man is really hard to like. He's nothing compared to Chin Chu. Song Yisha commented viciously. Dad wants to ask you, are you sure you want to get involved in Chin Chu's marriage? This was the first time Mayor Song had asked his daughter such a serious question. Yes, Song Yisha answered without hesitation. Mayor Song looked at his daughter slightly disappointed. Sure, there's a big forest out there. Why are you so stubborn? No one can replace Chin Chu's excellence. But he has a wife. Mrs. Song interjected. He can get a divorce, Song Yisha answered as she looked down at her phone. Mayor Song sighed slightly. I've known Chin Chu for a long time, so I know him well. He's really good and is the best candidate for my son-in-law. But he's married and they're in a good relationship. Sure, what you're doing is destroying his family. It's immoral. What's immoral? People nowadays only care about the results. Who cares if you're immoral? Plus, I can't eat immoral food. They won't give me a medal. Why should I follow those old ideas and so-called morals? People will gossip about you if you're a mistress. You're not afraid of being criticized, but what about your father? Don't you care about the mayor's reputation? Are you stubborn? Mrs. Song saw that her daughter was still troubled by Chin Chu and didn't want her to continue being so willful. She and Mayor Song had been trying their best to persuade their daughter to mend her ways. Hey guys, I'll just say that you guys are too old-fashioned. There's a thing called public opinion nowadays, and there's a profession called the Internet Water Army. I can hire a large number of Internet Water Army to help me clear my name and then smear Huamin's name. Then I can fabricate a story that she's the third party between me and Chin Chu. After a few years, as long as I'm Lady Chin, everything will be settled. Who will care whether she's innocent or wronged? Isn't this harming people? Mayor Song was actually a rather upright person. Unlike his daughter, he did not have the same thoughts as his daughter. Who did you harm? Who mean? That's not called harm. It's survival of the fittest. If she loses, she has to admit it. This is the law of nature. Song Yishur said confidently, if that's the case then there's nothing more to say. Do whatever you want. You're an adult now and we're all old. We can't control you anymore. But I hope you won't regret your decision today. Seeing that his daughter was determined, Mayor Song didn't waste any more time and got up to leave. Sure, don't make us worry. Your dad said that after he retires we'll immigrate to Australia. No, I'm not going anywhere. I want to have Chin Chu. Song Yishur's goal wasn't as simple as having Chin Chu. Instead, she wanted to take away Huamin's most precious thing. This had become a personal grudge between the two women. Song Yishur didn't love Chin Chu. Instead, she wanted to control him. She wanted to take over his body. When it was almost time to get off work, Huamin tidied up her desk. Then she took off her white lab coat and changed into her red cotton padded jacket. She wore the weibo and hat that Mrs. Xie knitted for her. She looked especially cute with her purse. Goodbye, Chief Hua. Goodbye, Chief Hua. Along the way, her colleagues all greeted her. Huamin walked out of her office. Before she could find her car, she saw a Maybach parked outside. She jogged over and knocked on the car window. Hey handsome, you're not allowed to park here. You're fined 200 yuan. Hurry up and pay up. Huamin extended her hand and smiled mischievously. Chapter 1172. Huamin was just joking, however Mr. Qin was even more ruthless. He took out a stack of cash from his bag and placed it in Huamin's hand. Then he asked shamelessly, I've paid my fine and I'll give you the rest as a tip. By the way, pretty girl, do you want to stay the night? Holy shit. Huamin felt like she was struck by lightning. Mr. Qin must be a genius to be able to come up with such a dirty word like spend the night. Therefore Huamin didn't back down and said, it's not worth it to stay the night. How about this, you pay me 10 million yuan in one go and I'll give you a discount for the year. That's not a bad idea. After speaking, Chin Chu took out his phone and started playing with it. What are you doing? Huamin didn't understand. I'm transferring money to you. Didn't you say 10 million yuan is enough for the year? Shit. Stop, I was just joking. Huamin panicked and stuck her head in the car window. She wanted to stop Mr. Qin's ridiculous behavior. However, this was exactly what she wanted. As soon as she stuck her head in, Chin Chu immediately held her head in his hands and kissed her passionately. The two of them were too engrossed. The cars behind them were blocked by the Maybach and they kept honking their horns. Hey, do you want to flaunt your love at home? What kind of manners are you having sex in the car in broad daylight? The man in the BMW behind them cursed. Huamin immediately pulled her head back, opened the door to the passenger seat and quickly got into the car. Honey, let's have roast lamb tonight, okay? I saw someone post a picture on WeChat last night and I'm craving it. Sure, but we have to go back to my parents' place first. Where are you going? Yeah, my dad called and asked us to go back for dinner. I think he misses us. Let's go back and check on him and then we'll leave without dinner. I'll eat roast lamb with you. Chin Chu was very considerate. Okay, then let's go back. We can have roast lamb tomorrow. Let's eat there tonight, I don't want to disappoint my parents. Huamin was very understanding. Especially after she had reconciled with Chin Chu's parents, she wouldn't just care about her own thoughts. She knew how to compromise occasionally for the sake of Chin Chu. This was one of the reasons why Chin Chu loved her so much. The two of them drove straight back to the Qin family's old mansion. Chin Chu had been busy recently, and it seemed that he hadn't been back for a long time. When the Qin couple saw that their son and daughter-in-law had returned, they were immediately in a good mood. Wash your hands and eat. Lady Qin finally smiled. Qin Yuman came downstairs, took off his reading glasses and said, Your mom has a sharp tongue but a soft heart. She knows that Mion loves seafood so she ordered it to be flown over. It's very fresh. Thank you. Huamin looked at Lady Qin and nodded. It's time to call her mom. Chin Chu whispered in her ear. Huamin's cheeks blushed slightly. After a while she said, Thank you, Mom. Lady Qin was walking over with a plate of crabs, and her body trembled slightly. She never thought that one day Huamin would be able to let go of everything and call her mom. Mom, what are you waiting for? Where's the red packet? You can't call me Mom for nothing. Chin Chu questioned her loudly on purpose. Huamin was embarrassed and immediately elbowed Qin Chu, signaling for him to stop talking. It was as if she called her mom just for money. It seemed like Mr. Qin had been planning this ever since he took his mother's red packet at Sky Blessing Court that day. Huamin suddenly felt that Qin Chu was so two-faced that he even tricked his own mother. Upon hearing her son's question, Lady Qin finally reacted. She put down the crabs in her hand and immediately rushed upstairs. Chapter 1173. Your mom is just overjoyed and excited. Qin Yumin smiled. Dad, have a seat. Huamin pulled out a chair and said to Qin Yumin. Okay. Qin Yumin was overjoyed and nodded vigorously. Qin Chu looked at Huamin gently. He felt like Huamian was like a shy little wife who just got married. He was so adorable. A minute later, Lady Qin came back with a square handbag in her hand. It was brand new. The style was quite young and it was obvious that she didn't carry it for her age. Mom, is your change fee a handbag? Qin Chu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Huh. Don't underestimate this handbag. Your mom bought it a few days ago when she went on a trip to France. It's a limited edition Hermes. I've seen this one before. It's around 400,000 yuan. Mom, you sure are generous. Qin Chu smiled. Lady Qin didn't say anything. Instead, she walked over and handed the handbag to Huamin. Take it, I bought it for you. Huamin was actually quite embarrassed. After all, it was such an expensive luxury item. Take it, it's your change fee, Qin Chu reminded her with a smile. Thank you, Mom. Huamin was no longer reserved and carefully took the handbag. It was a light yellow color with a beautiful design and exquisite workmanship. Huamin really liked this design, but when he heard that it cost 400,000 yuan, Huamin felt like his heart was bleeding. She probably still wasn't used to such a luxurious lifestyle. It seemed like she would have to carry this bag for at least 5 years. Looking at the dazzling array of seafood, Huamin was a little touched. She seemed to be the only one in the family who loved seafood, so everyone prepared everything for her. For the rich Qin family, money was secondary, but the thought was irreplaceable. Ever since they made things clear last time, Lady Qin seemed to have seen through Song Yisher's true colors and stopped bothering Huamin. Huamin, although seafood is delicious, it's still cold. After you eat it, remember to drink some brown sugar ginger water to get rid of the cold. Especially since you're trying to get pregnant, Lady Qin reminded him. I haven't eaten much in the past few months. And when I do, I'll immediately take some Chinese medicine to warm my womb. Lady Qin nodded. Chu, your uncle called yesterday and said that he wants our family to go to Hawaii for the spring festival. What do you think? Mion's brother is overseas and she's all alone. She's her, if you and my mom and you want to go, you and her. Then we won't go either. After all, Hawaii is the US. No matter how lively it is, it doesn't feel like Chinese New Year. Lady Qin interrupted. Actually, Dad, I think you can invite Uncle and the others back. I did, but they didn't want to. They've been there for decades and seem to think of it as their home, Qin Yumin said meaningfully. The family of 4 chatted as they ate. Lady Qin suddenly thought of something and looked at Huamin. I saw the live broadcast of you and Song Yisher on TV the other day. Note that Lady Qin now called Song Yisher by her full name, not Shirshir but Song Yisher. It's a charity program. The program crew said that they can donate 1 million yuan to support out-of-school children. Huamin said casually. She wasn't despicable enough to tell them how Song Yisher framed her. After all, she didn't want to be a despicable person who spoke ill of others. Lady Qin, however, said unhappily, later, I asked someone to investigate the TV station. The TV station doesn't have that program, and the 1 million yuan wasn't from the TV station either. It was Song Yisher who sponsored it. It was all part of her scheme. Chapter 1174. Huamin wasn't surprised at all. When he saw that the director was in cahoots with Song Yisher, he knew the truth. However, he was surprised that Lady Qin would investigate it herself. It seemed like she had learned her lesson. Mom, try not to say that name when you eat, it'll spoil your appetite, Qin Chu reminded his mother. Yeah, let's not talk about her. Upon hearing her son's reminder, Lady Qin immediately came to her senses and stopped talking about Song Yisher. However, everyone knew that Song Yisher no longer had a place in the Qin family. Song Yisher was also trying to make a move on the Qin family's parents. After dinner, Huamin helped the housekeeper clean up the table and made tea for Mr. Qin. It was rare for Qin Chu to have time to drink tea and play chess with his father. Mr. and Mrs. Qin didn't seem to want to leave until it was time to leave. You two? Remember to come back often if you're not busy, Lady Qin reminded them. Okay. Huamin and Qin Chu both nodded. Call me if you want to eat anything, I'll prepare it, Lady Qin reminded them again. I know, Mom. You should go home, it's cold outside. After Qin Chu drove his mother home, he got into the car with Huamin. Why don't you open the bag and take a look? Qin Chu smiled as he looked at Huamin, who was sitting in the front passenger seat. Look at what? Huamin was surprised. Look at how much money my mom put in it. Huh? Didn't she give you a bag? She still has to pay. Huamin was speechless. From what I know about my mom, she's actually very generous. You can take a look, I'm not sure. Qin Chu said as he drove. Huamin carefully unzipped the bag and saw that there was a lot of cash inside. There were bundles of cash. Huamin checked and found that there were 10 bundles worth 100,000 yuan. There was even a 1 yuan note at the bottom. 1 in 100,000, your mom is so generous. Huamin was dumbfounded. She had only called her mother-in-law mother, but she had actually given her a bag worth 400,000 yuan and 100,000 yuan in cash. So generous that it was beyond recognition. That means she was very happy when you called her mom. Qin Chu raised the corner of his mouth slightly. For so long, the relationship between his mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, which he had been most worried about, had finally improved. She knew that Huamin's impression of her mother had not improved because of money, but because he had seen everything clearly. Honey, GK is hosting a celebrity banquet tomorrow night, do you want to come? Celebrity banquet? Yeah, all the stars under GK are here. We also invited a few top domestic superstars and directors to talk about GK Entertainment's future development. Oh, that sounds great. Should I bring a little notebook and ask for their autographs at any time? No, they're the ones who have to prepare a notebook and ask for your autograph at any time. You're the president's wife. Huamin smiled. Where is it? What time is it? It starts at 8 p.m. at one of GK's hotels. Okay, I'll go with you. I'm worried about those female stars at GK. They're like monsters who eat people up without spitting out their bones. Huamin decided that he had to attend. Otherwise, those female stars might try to get close to Qin Chu again. Qin Chu smiled. The next day when Huamin got off work, he called Qin Chu and asked if he wanted to go over early to get changed and put on makeup. Qin Chu said no because it was a private banquet. They were just eating and singing, so it was more relaxing. Huamin immediately felt relieved. Wearing a white mid-length cotton jacket, a hat, scarf and black-rimmed glasses, he went to GK headquarters. Then the two drove to the hotel together. It was already 7:50 p.m. when they arrived. Qin Chu and Huamin walked straight into the VIP lounge. It was filled with 30 to 40 celebrities, both male and female. It was a spectacular scene. Sister Huamin, An Yang, who was wearing a handsome long black trench coat, was the first to stand up and greet Huamin. Chapter 1175. Huamin looked at An Yang dotingly. Then he reached out his hand and high-fived An Yang. The celebrities around them were also envious as they watched. Rumors had it that An Yang was poached by a young lady from GK, and it seemed like the rumors were true. An Yang was closer to Huamin than he was to Qin Chu. There were rumors that An Yang and Huamin had an ambiguous relationship, and that was why he got to where he was because of nepotism. Although it was just gossip, Qin Chu forcefully acquired the news agency, and in the end no one dared to question him. However, all the celebrities knew that An Yang and Huamin were as close as siblings. In GKMO, Schwerer and An Yang were the most popular people. Who wouldn't be jealous of them? Annie Liang was wearing a long pink off-shoulder gown. She stood up and greeted Huamin, showing that she was close to a young lady as well. Mian, you're here. Everyone got goosebumps when they heard her call Mian. Huamin nodded with a smile, but he didn't expose Annie Liang. This woman had learned her lesson. After seeing Huamin's unshakable position in GK, she started sucking up to him. She had a good relationship with Huamin in public and in private, and she respectfully called him a young lady in private. She purposely called him Mian in public so that others would see how close she was to Huamin. He was truly a scheming bitch. However, Huamin didn't care about these things. In his opinion, as long as it didn't threaten his and Qin Chu's interests, he didn't care. Annie Liang wanted to get close to him, so he just let her be. Qin Chu and Huamin held hands as they walked through the hall and sat down at the table in the middle of the room. The vice president of GK and some key executives were sitting there. President Qin, a young lady. Ho, Chairman Qin. Ho, a young lady. Along the way, all the celebrities, big and small, greeted him. The two of them sat down quietly. Qin Chu waved his hand and gestured for everyone to sit down. Then he began to eat. These celebrities were indeed in the entertainment industry. Their alcohol tolerance was terrifying. Each one was better than the other. Even Ni Yang's alcohol tolerance had increased a lot. During this period, celebrities kept coming over to propose a toast. Qin Chu and Huamin each had half a glass of red wine left in front of them. Honey, until the end of the dinner, I want to see that there is still wine in your wine glass. Qin Chu said domineeringly. Huamin. Qin Chu was implying that he should not drink too much. Huamin was also obedient. Whenever she met a celebrity who came to propose a toast, she would take small sips of her wine. In the end, when the dinner was over, Qin Chu glanced at Huamin's wine glass. Indeed, there were still 2 drops left. It seemed like she was really obedient this time. Then the group went to Seductive Fox and booked the biggest private room in Rick's room. It was private and had the best sound system. All the celebrities were in high spirits. Even the usually cold Mo Shui seemed to be in a good mood and sang a few songs. Just then, the door to the private room was pushed open and a man wearing a black leather jacket walked in. He was around 40 years old. He was handsome and looked like a tough guy. Whoa. Movie King Jiang is here too. That's great. I want to take a picture with him. I want his autograph. I want to have a drink with him. I want to ask him out. Me too, me too. I heard that he's still single. Maybe he likes me. Let's have a flash marriage or something. These young female celebrities were not reserved at all. Huamin was sweating profusely as he listened to their conversation. It was just a man. Did they have to go so far? Celebrities were packaged, weren't they? Anyways, when Jiang Yi arrived, many female celebrities in the private room couldn't help but scream. And who exactly was Jiang Yi? Huamin knew a little about him, even though she wasn't a gossipy person. However, that man was really famous. Chapter 1176. Jiang Yi, male 39 years old, was a rock singer in the early days. 10 years ago he changed his career to film and was now a superstar. He specialized in action and military films and became an instant hit. He won many awards including a Grand Slam in all categories. He had been popular for a long time and had many connections, so he had a high status in the entertainment industry and was respected by many. Apparently his salary was double that of Mo Shui's and he was a very influential superstar. Jiang Yi had always lived in Jing City and was signed to a film and television company in Jing City. This time he came to C City to look for a collaboration with GK Entertainment. He was interested in an indie film that GK was shooting in Africa, so he was recommended by the media and came directly to Qin Chu to support the film. He immediately talked to Qin Chu. As soon as Jiang Yi walked in, the atmosphere in the room became tense. Hi Shui. Jiang Yi and Mo Shui were good friends. Rumor had it that every time Mo Shui went to Jing City to promote, she would go to Jiang Ye's house. No one knew if they were buddies or just friends, but their relationship was very intriguing. Old Jiang, you're late, you know? We've already had a drink. Mo Shui's cheeks were red and she seemed to have had a lot to drink as well. Then I'll punish myself with 3 drinks, haha, but I'll have to drink with President Qin. Then, Jiang Yi walked straight to Qin Chu's seat with a glass and beer. President Qin, I'm sorry I'm late, I'll punish myself with 3 drinks. Then Jiang Yi downed 3 glasses in a row and everyone cheered for him. Then Jiang Yi sat down next to Qin Chu and lit up a cigarette for Qin Chu. Such an obvious display of goodwill made people gasp in amazement. Some of the young female celebrities beside them were staring blankly at them. Did you see that? No matter how famous you are, you have to behave in front of President Qin. That's right, President Qin is our sugar daddy. No matter how famous a celebrity is, he's still just an employee. I wish I were President Qin so I could sit so close to Mr. Jiang. I wish I were Mr. Jiang so I could talk to President Qin in private. At this time Huamin was sitting far away from Qin Chu, because she did not want to continue drinking. And those people would still keep toasting Qin Chu. If he was by his side he would definitely be reduced to cannon fodder. Therefore Huamin whispered something in Qin Chu's ear and then hid far away. How far was it? Huamin sat on the edge of the sofa in a private room that could accommodate 50 people, in an inconspicuous corner. She was dressed very plainly. Most of the female celebrities were wearing evening gowns and dresses. Although it was winter, they were still beautiful and moving. After Huamin took off her white cotton jacket, there was a red Mickey Mouse sweater inside. It was the very cute kind. Obviously, it did not match her age. She was suspected of pretending to be young, but there was no other way. Who asked her to be a Disney fan? Therefore, when everyone was drinking and the live music was loud, no one noticed a young ladies' corner. Qin Chu, the company's vice president, and a famous director were discussing the new film. When Jiang Yi arrived, he quickly joined in. There was no sense of awkwardness. He was indeed a veteran. After being in the entertainment industry for so many years, he naturally knew how to get along with the boss. Huamin watched as everyone sang, danced, drank and played dice. Even that brat Ni Yang was surrounded by a few female celebrities and forced to drink. This world, Huamin was bored to death. She took out her phone and played a popular mobile game for all ages. She lowered her head and played very seriously. At this time, Jiang Yi got up to go to the washroom, so he walked towards it. Huamin happened to be sitting near the washroom in a dark corner. She was so engrossed in her game that she did not notice that someone was looking at her from behind. Then she heard a man's voice say, "Not bad, your skills are good. Do you like this game too?" After hearing the voice, Huamin jumped in fright. She quickly turned around. She saw a man standing behind her. His hands were on the sofa behind her and he was very close to her. Chapter 1177. I'm just passing time, I don't really like it. Huamin leaned forward defensively. She kept her distance from this strange man. Although she knew that he was a superstar, she wasn't familiar with him. Jiang Yi had been paying attention to Huamin for a while now. Most of the female celebrities in the room were wearing evening gowns and sexy one-piece dresses. They were all dressed up flirtatiously. Their makeup was also very delicate and pleasing to the eye. Huamin, on the other hand, didn't wear any makeup. She wore glasses and a Mickey Mouse sweater, making her look out of place. The truth was, she didn't think too much about it, nor did she want to be in the limelight. After all, she wasn't a celebrity and there were no reporters around, so she didn't want to dress up. To be honest, Huamin hated socializing. However, after she got together with Qin Chu, she had no choice but to go to certain events. He was a simple person. She liked to spend time with her family, lovers and friends. 10 banquets couldn't compare to a cup of coffee with Zhu Lingling and Jiang Shaowei. 100 banquets couldn't compare to a simple dinner with her mother and Qin Chu. However, Huamin didn't have a choice. Since she became Qin Chu's wife and a young lady of GK, she had to attend certain events. Today she came to accompany Qin Chu and observe if any other scheming bitches wanted to challenge her. She wanted to deal with them all at once. She never thought that her casual outfit would attract the attention of a superstar. The reason why Jiang Yi was able to notice her wasn't because of her beauty. Huamin, compared to the other female celebrities, didn't stand out. However, the good thing was that she looked real and dressed like the girl next door, which made her seem more approachable. After Jiang Yi talked with Qin Chu for a while, he occasionally drank with the celebrities around him. Then he casually glanced over and saw a girl in the corner playing with her phone. At an event like this, the celebrity lineup was comparable to the Spring Festival Gala. Who would have time to play with their phones? Everyone wanted to take photos with them, drink with them or show off on their social media. Who would still be foolishly hiding in a corner and playing with their phones? Jiang Ye's interest was piqued. He watched for a minute but did not see Huamin raise his head. He could only see half of his face. Therefore he was very curious and deliberately used the opportunity of going to the bathroom to get close to her and take the initiative to talk to her. As soon as he spoke, the girl raised her head. Sure enough, although her face wasn't devastatingly beautiful, it was extremely delicate and pretty. Jiang Yi had been in this industry for many years and had seen many women. He had more than a dozen girlfriends. Needless to say, bed partners, but none of them could make him fall in love, so he had yet to get married. In order to gain attention, some unscrupulous media outlets deliberately slandered him by saying that his sexual orientation had changed. Actually, Jiang Yi still liked women, but he couldn't bring himself to like those fair-skinned and beautiful faces anymore. "I'm tired of the aesthetic," He was even less interested in those female university students who pretended to be innocent to attract attention, and to play tricks because he believed that he was better at playing tricks. Therefore it was rare for a girl to arouse his interest, so he took the initiative. Are you a celebrity under GK as well? I've never seen you on TV, are you new? Jiang Yi looked at Huimin with interest. Normally, people would approach him when they saw him scream or post all sorts of messages. However, when Huimin saw him, he seemed a bit conflicted and subconsciously moved away from him. Jiang Ye's lips curled up, thinking that this girl was quite interesting. He was almost 40 years old and it had been a long time since he last saw such a fun girl. Why did he move so far away? Was he afraid of being molested? What a joke, he was a superstar. It was quite awkward to be mistaken for a newbie at GK. However, it wasn't Jiang Ye's fault. He wasn't a local and rarely watched the news here. Naturally, he didn't know that GK's president had a wife and only thought that she was a newbie at GK. I'm actually... Huimin was about to explain his identity. Chapter 1178. Suddenly, a second-rate female celebrity walked over and intimately hooked her arm around Jiang Ye's. Big brother Yi, let's have another drink. It's rare to see you, let's drink until we're drunk. Jiang Yi couldn't refuse. Even though these female celebrities weren't famous, they were all signed to GK. Therefore he had no choice but to drink with them. Huimin took this opportunity to get up and sneak into the washroom. Jiang Yi finished a glass of wine and wanted to continue talking to Huimin, but Huimin was gone. He was confused. A glass of wine only took 5 seconds. How did Huimin run away? Was he a ghost? Why did he run away so fast? Jiang Yi smiled helplessly. He thought to himself, I'll wait here and see if you come out of the washroom or not. As expected, 5 minutes later, Huimin couldn't stay any longer. She walked out of the washroom to see that this man was still there. Jiang Yi smiled and was about to speak when he saw her walk over. However, Huimin turned the corner and walked out. Jiang Yi froze on the spot. He felt like he was struck by lightning. Did he fail to hit on her again? Could it be, she's playing hard to get? Jiang Yi raised his eyebrows playfully. He thought that this girl might be playing a game of cat and mouse with him, trying to pique his interest. Perhaps it was because he was in a complicated industry, so he didn't think anyone was that simple. Not far away, Qin Chu was chatting with the directors. Occasionally he would look up at Huimin. When he saw Huimin walk out, he froze for a second but didn't immediately chase after him. Seductive Fox was Rick's territory, so he didn't have to worry about Huimin's safety. After Huimin left the room, he wandered around the hallway to get some fresh air. To be honest, she didn't admire that superstar, nor did she have any feelings for him. She didn't want to talk to him, it was that simple. As Huimin wandered around, he suddenly heard a door slam open at the end of the hallway. Huimin then saw a girl walking towards them angrily. When she got closer, Huimin realized that she was the girl that Rick had taken to the movies last time. She was also the one who had attended Rick's private cocktail party. If he remembered correctly, her name should be Cece, right? Are you okay? Huimin asked kindly when he saw the anger on the girl's face. I'm fine. The girl said that she was fine, but her brows were tightly knitted. Then she angrily ran downstairs. Just then Rick chased after her. Cece, wait a minute, listen to me. I won't listen, I won't listen, I won't listen. Cece said as she ran. Cece, it's not what you think, you've wronged me. Rick wasn't a talkative person. Although he was as quiet as Qin Chu was a black-bellied person. When it came to slandering people, his mouth was especially vicious. Rick, on the other hand, was quiet and clumsy. Most importantly, it was his first time in love, so he didn't know how to get along with a girl. Seeing this, Huimin finally understood. Oh, so the two of them were fighting? When Rick passed by Huimin, he didn't forget to nod and greet him in a friendly manner. Huimin nodded as well, but before he could say anything, he chased after the girl downstairs. It seemed like even young masters couldn't escape the torment of a girl in love. Huimin looked at Rick's back and sighed. Even heroes have a weakness for the charms of beautiful women. Seems like our ancestors were right. Oh, is our department director Huo lamenting life again? The familiar voice behind him almost scared Huimin to death. She turned her head and when she saw the face, she punched Su Yu's shoulder. Are you trying to scare me to death? You came and went like a ghost. Chapter 1179. Hey, watch your image. You're a chief physician, Don't do something so unladylike, okay? Suyu smiled with a toothpick in his mouth. I'm not a lady, okay? The setting you gave me was wrong to begin with. Heh. Everything you say is right. I can't out-talk you. Suyu looked at Huamin with glowing eyes. Why are you here? Huamin looked at Suyu curiously. Our company is having a party too, Suyu said casually, but he couldn't hide the surprise in his eyes when he saw Huamin. He had noticed a long time ago that Huamin rarely came to nightclubs. The only time he came was at Seductive Fox. Since the owner of Seductive Fox had a good relationship with Chinchu, he only went to Seductive Fox whenever he went to nightclubs. That way the chances of him bumping into Huamin would greatly increase. For the current Suyu, as long as he could see Huamin once in a while, he would feel very happy. This outfit is not bad. It suits you very well. Huamin was wondering why Suyu's words were so pleasant today, but he continued, it's very childish. Damn you. I knew you wouldn't say anything nice. I was wondering why you changed. You're still the same as before. Huamin laughed. She had to admit that the awkwardness between her and Suyu had changed to that of an old friend. They could joke around and chat, of course. This was only if Suyu didn't say anything emotional. Once Suyu became serious, Huamin would still feel awkward. I've always been like this, he said proudly. Then he suddenly thought of something fun and said to Huamin, let me tell you a joke. Huamin nodded and listened attentively. My grandpa arranged a blind date for me yesterday with Song Yisher. Yeah, that bitch, Suyu emphasized. Huamin was speechless. Did you go? Huamin looked at Suyu sympathetically. How is that possible? Would I still be me if I went? Oh my god, I don't want to lie to you. She's the most fake and bitch I've ever seen. It was obvious that Suyu's comments. Huamin lowered his head and thought for a moment. Then he said, she's not good enough for you. Huamin thought that other than having a bad temper, being a bit of a spendthrift, being a bit arrogant and being a bit childish, everything else about Suyu was great. He had a good personality, a good family background and good looks. Song Yisher really wasn't good enough for an excellent man like Lord Su. This was the truth. Wow, I've known you for so long, but that's the best thing I've ever heard. Suyu took out a toothpick from his mouth, leaned against the wall and crossed his legs. Every time he was alone with Huamin, he would feel unusually happy. He would also selfishly want time to slow down a little. I'm just telling the truth, okay? Huamin looked at Suyu and smiled. The old man basically won't arrange any more blind dates. He's already arranged more than 20, but none of them worked out. The old man seems to have given up on me. Suyu seemed to be talking to himself as he spoke to Huamin. Huamin lowered his head guiltily. I believe that an excellent girl will appear by your side. She's already here. Suyu smiled bitterly. Huamin's heart skipped a beat and he didn't say anything else. Just then the door to the private room opened and Jian Tong walked out. She was stunned at first, but then she looked at Suyu and said gently, President Su, everyone wants you to go back and play dice. Suyu nodded. Huamin immediately looked up at him. Then you should get back to work, I have to go back too. After speaking, Huamin turned around and walked back to his private room. Suyu watched her quietly until she walked in. Only then did he walk in himself. What's your name? As soon as Huamin sat down, Jiang Yi appeared out of nowhere and sat down directly next to him. Huamin replied calmly. Mion. That name sounds familiar. Jiang Yi frowned slightly. He could swear that he had heard this name before. Chapter 1180. Maybe it's because there are a lot of people with the same name as me. No, I must have heard of it somewhere before. Jiang Yi was racking his brain. Huamin definitely wasn't a celebrity. There was no such person in the entertainment industry. But this name was definitely familiar. He had heard it before and he always thought he had a good memory. But at this moment he was completely dumbfounded. Huamin didn't say much. She sat in the corner and quietly played with her phone. The atmosphere was still high and everyone seemed to be having a good time. Huamin sneaked a glance at Qin Chu and saw that he was seriously talking to a few directors. Although he was young, he didn't pale in comparison to the others in his seat. He had great control over the situation. The directors were also very respectful towards Qin Chu. He didn't say anything. He just quietly listened to their opinions and then gave his accurate comments. Perhaps Qin Chu noticed that someone was sneaking glances at him, so he suddenly turned his head. Huamin immediately lowered her head and pretended to play with her phone. She couldn't let Mr. Qin find out that she was sneaking glances at him, or else he would become even more arrogant. Of course, Qin Chu knew what Huamin was thinking. He only smiled dotingly and didn't say anything. Just then Jiang Yi walked over with a glass of wine. "Young lady, let's have a drink and be friends. My name is Jiang Yi." Perhaps he wanted to remind Huamin that he was a celebrity, so Jiang Yi emphasized his name. On the plane, even the flight attendants in the first-class cabin were infatuated with him and asked for photos and autographs. Jiang Yi glanced around. Other than this young lady who was playing with her phone, there were other female celebrities in the room. Everyone else took the initiative to take photos and drink with him. Some of the braver ones directly asked for his phone number in WeChat. Their intentions were direct and obvious. But the more they acted like this, the less interested Jiang Yi was in them. All men were like this. Young and beautiful women would definitely attract men's attention. Nowadays, all the nightclubs were filled with young models from the 90s. If you slapped your BMW keys on the coffee table, they would immediately jump into your arms. That was how society worked. Jiang Yi was rich, handsome and famous. Especially since he was still single, he became the target of many female celebrities. Aside from Mo Shui, all the other women came up to him one after another. Even Annie Liang didn't hold back. She added Jiang Ye's WeChat and sent him many sexy photos. Her motive for asking Pao out was even more obvious. But the more he acted like this, the more Jiang Yi felt that this man was despicable. This was human nature. There was an old saying that hurrying is not a business transaction. That was exactly what it meant. The active party would always be led by the nose, forever in a passive state. Before Huamin could answer, Anai Yang appeared out of nowhere. She raised her wine glass and said, "I'll drink on her behalf." "Brother Anai Yang, this is the first time I've seen you defend someone like this." Jiang Yi smiled meaningfully. Huamin could smell the strong smell of alcohol on Anai Yang's body. He tapped his head with his finger. "Kid, don't drink so much. You just got out of the hospital not long ago. I know it's fine." Anai Yang smiled and drank the wine on behalf of Huamin. Anai Yang was the most famous of the male idols and had the most fans in the industry. However, Jiang Yi had never seen him in a scandal with another woman. Now that he was so protective of this girl, Jiang Yi suddenly felt that it was even more interesting. He moved closer to Anai Yang's ear and whispered, in a low voice he asked, "Do you like her? Are you fucking crazy?" "She's my sister." Anai Yang was a little angry. "Your biological sister?" Jiang Yi asked again. "No, but she's better than my biological sister. Without her, Anai Yang wouldn't be who he is today." Anai Yang said righteously. If Huamin didn't arrange the surgery for him, he really wouldn't know what he would be like right now. Therefore, in Anai Yang's heart, Huamin's position as his sister was unshakable, and he wouldn't allow anyone to tarnish her position. "I really didn't know that you would recognize a little white girl as your sister." Jiang Yi smiled as he held his wine glass. "Little white? You think she's a little white?" Anai Yang looked at Jiang Yi as if he was looking at an idiot. "Isn't she? Didn't she tell you who she is?" Anai Yang smiled even more proudly. Jiang Yi felt a little uneasy as he looked at the kid's evil smile. Chapter 1181. Just as Anai Yang was about to reveal Huamin's identity, he saw Qin Chu walking towards them. Under everyone's gaze, he walked over and gently caressed Huamin's delicate face. "Are you sleepy?" "I'm fine." Huamin smiled. At this moment, Jiang Ye's eyes were wide open. He was obviously shocked beyond words. Anai Yang looked at him with schadenfreude, thinking to himself, "You're an idiot now, aren't you? This is what you get for flirting with my Huamin. Let's see how the president will deal with you." "President Qin, this is..." Jiang Yi looked at Qin Chu, dumbfounded, and then looked at Huamin. "My wife Huamin." Jiang Yi froze on the spot. His expression was hilarious. "Brother Jiang Yi, don't tell me you don't know a young lady?" Annie Liang walked over with a strange smile on her face. "I really don't know her. I've never seen her before. My wife isn't from the entertainment industry, so she's rarely in public. It's normal that you don't know her." After Qin Chu finished speaking, he looked down at his watch and then looked around. "It's getting late, let's call it a day." "Okay, President Qin. Thank you for the drinks, President Qin." "Thank you for your hospitality, President Qin." Many celebrities gathered around and saluted their boss. Jiang Yi, on the other hand, had mixed feelings. He suddenly realized why the name Huamin sounded so familiar. When he was at a gathering with some directors, he heard that GK's President Qin had a wife that he loved dearly. They were childhood sweethearts and their relationship ran deep. That girl could even make many important decisions within GK. So, this legendary girl was the one in front of him who played with her phone and wore Mickey Mouse. That was too shocking. Jiang Yi always thought that President Qin's wife was at least classy and elegant, if not devastatingly beautiful. He didn't think that she would be so down-to-earth like the little girl next door. At this thought he was a bit jealous. No wonder Xiao Qin liked her. Who wouldn't like her? Then Qin Chu held Huamin's hand and left. He left the private room for everyone to continue having fun, and Qin Chu paid for all the expenses. After Qin Chu left, the directors began to behave naughtily and began to hug the female stars. Emo Shueger left first. She seemed to have gone to Hua Xiqian's place. Everyone knew about her relationship with Hua Xiqian. Therefore no one talked about it too much. Brother Jiang Yi, which hotel are you staying at? Annie Liang asked. Boss Qin arranged for the 5-star hotels under the company. Do you need someone to accompany you? Annie Liang asked bluntly. Why do you want to come? That depends on whether you need it or not. Annie Liang lifted Jiang Ye's chin with her red fingernails. If it was in the past he might have been able to play around. But now for some reason, looking at the standard face of an internet celebrity with heavy makeup in front of him, Jiang Yi suddenly lost all interest. My kidneys have been weak lately. If you don't mind you can come over. You're so annoying, you're teasing me again. Jiang Yi tactfully rejected Annie Liang. Then he probed, does President Qin's wife also work at GK? Of course not, a young lady is a godlike woman. She's a legend in Sea City. Really? What kind of legend? Jiang Yi looked at Annie Liang with interest. You seem to be very interested in young madam's affairs? What I want to know is, what kind of woman is President Qin's woman? Jiang Yi lit a cigarette, took a deep puff and laughed. Is a woman with an incredibly high IQ. Do you know what she does for a living? Annie Liang asked with a smile. Jiang Yi shook his head. Chapter 1182. She's the youngest chief physician in the country with an annual salary of 1.2 million. She's a famous neurologist at Southside Recuperation Center. Doctor? Jiang Yi was surprised. Huamin didn't look like she was more than 25 years old. How could she be a chief physician at such a young age? Not a doctor, I'm a chief physician. Chief, do you understand? She manages the entire department. Then President Qin must have pulled some strings for her, right? Wrong, if President Qin pulled some strings, she'd probably be the director of Southside Recuperation Center. Annie Liang smiled. Although she was jealous of Huamin, she had to admit that Huamin was very capable. But it doesn't make sense for her to be a chief physician at such a young age. Jiang Yi thought about the girl with black-rimmed glasses and a Mickey Mouse outfit who was playing with her phone. A girl who looked like a girl next door was actually a first-rate doctor. It was unbelievable. He never would have thought of such a career. He always thought that being a doctor was a very heavy job. Plus, the workload was so heavy that normal people couldn't handle it. That's why a young lady is a genius. There's no doubt about that. Her brain. Let me put it this way, all the female artists under our company combined, their brains wouldn't be as smart as hers. She's super smart. Jiang Yi gave a precise description. Yes, that's right. Her IQ is too high, or else President Qin wouldn't love her so much. Annie Liang had a misunderstanding. Like Song Yisher, she always thought that Qin Chu loved Huamin so much because she was smart. But that wasn't the case. President Qin's IQ wasn't low either. He loved Huamin. It was a seed of love that was planted when he was young. After all these years, it was already deeply rooted in his bones. So what did Qin Chu like about Huamin? He couldn't pinpoint the exact reason. Because as long as it was Huamin, he would love her regardless of her strengths and weaknesses. He could accept everything. I see. But she's pretty low-key. I thought she was a newbie at the company. I almost made a fool of myself. Jiang Yi was a little embarrassed. After he finished speaking, he took a sip of red wine. A young lady is indeed low-key. Whether it's the car she drives, the clothes she wears, or the way she speaks, she's not ostentatious at all. This is a calmness that most girls her age don't have. Annie Liang gave a rare comment. President Qin, You're so lucky to have a good wife, Jiang Yi exclaimed. Anyways, if you want to work with GK, remember this truth. What? Jiang Yi looked at Annie Liang in confusion. You can offend anyone in GK, even President Qin, but never offend a young lady. Why? Because our President Qin dotes on his wife as much as his life. This sentence is not exaggerated at all. He really does understand. With that, Annie Liang smiled, picked up her glass of wine and went to another table. Jiang Yi was left sitting there alone. His heart was filled with all sorts of mixed feelings. He was still very curious. What kind of girl was Huamin? How could someone like Qin Chu fall in love with her so much? He was getting more and more interested. Suyu played around in the private room for a while, but his mind was elsewhere. He kept thinking about whether Huamin was still next door. President Su, why don't I go next door and take a look? I know a few celebrities there. Jian Tong could tell that her boss was itching for Huamian, so she took the initiative to suggest this. What are you looking for? Just sit there, we're competitors now. You'd be asking for trouble if you went over. Actually, if you want to see her, just call her and ask her out. You look terrible. Jian Tong felt bad for her boss. It's not as simple as you think. Suyu was a little depressed as he took another big gulp of wine. Indeed, he couldn't just call Huamin. He already said that he didn't want to cause trouble for her. Inside the Maybach, Qin Chu looked at Huamin as he drove. It seems like I can't bring you to events like this anymore. What? Did I embarrass Mr. Qin? Huamin looked at Qin Chu amused. Chapter 1183. It's not that I'm embarrassed, it's that my wife is always on the receiving end of attention. Huamin was speechless. I don't even mind that you're being teased by those women. It's not the same. I attract trash and flies, but you attract hardcore fans. It's scary. Qin Chu retorted shamelessly. Huamin was speechless. It seemed like Mr. Qin's conclusion was spot on. That night, the two of them went to bed early. Mo Shuer left Seductive Fox first and went to Hua Xiqian's private mansion. After the two of them did it, Hua Xiqian leaned against the headboard and smoked. Sleeping with Mo Shuer was purely a physical need, and it was purely a way to vent. Compared to those dumbass internet celebrities, Mo Shuer was smart and skillful. She was the perfect choice for Hua Xiqian's bed partner. What are you thinking about? Why are you spacing out? Mo Shuer reached out and gently stroked Hua Xiqian's sexy chest. Her index finger drew circles on his chest like she was a pro. Nothing, he said in a low voice and then took another deep puff of his cigarette. We're having dinner tonight and Huamin is coming too. Mo Shuer said, really? Yeah, she's really funny. Actually, sometimes I think Huamin does it on purpose. On purpose? Hua Xiqian looked down at Mo Shuer with a questioning look. I think she does it on purpose to show off. It's an important party and so many of us female celebrities are wearing evening gowns and dresses, but Huamin is wearing a ridiculous Mickey Mouse sweater. She doesn't fit in at all, and that's why she's attracting so much attention. Us flamboyant people are just there to serve as a contrast. Hua Xiqian chuckled. That's why I said that your taste will always be inferior to hers. Mo Shuer retorted, I think Huamin is a scheming bitch. Seriously, she must have dressed like that on purpose. She even sat so far away from President Qin. It's obvious that she did it on purpose to attract Jiang Ye's attention. Jiang Yi? Hua Xiqian paused. Yeah, it's not like you don't know that famous actor. Of course I know. How could I not know what you did before? Hua Xiqian said with a mocking smile. Mo Shuer was obviously uncomfortable, so she smiled awkwardly. Then she said coquettishly, can you stop talking about this? That was in the past. At that time you had another woman and I was heartbroken. That was why he took advantage of me. You know, I don't have any feelings for him. Unfortunately, I'm not interested in your relationship with him at all. I just want to know what's wrong with him. Is he interested in my Huamin? Hua Xiqian domineeringly referred to Huamin as his Huamin. It was obvious that their relationship wasn't normal. Mo Shuer was slightly jealous. Yeah, Huamin did it on purpose. Jiang Yi must have noticed her. Think about it, she dressed so weirdly at that kind of event. Plus, she ignored everyone and played with her phone. She must have aroused a man's desire to conquer her. But she sure has guts, seducing another man in front of President Qin. Upon hearing this, Hua Xiqian's face darkened. He raised his hand and rudely removed Mo Shuer's hand from his chest. Why are you saying that she seduced Jiang Yi and not the other way around? I don't think so. Jiang Yi is a superstar, why would he be interested in a noob? At the end of the day it's all because of her methods. Just then Hua Xiqian narrowed his eyes and pinched Mo Shui's chin. You seem to be hostile towards my Mian. Chapter 1184. No, I'm just stating a fact. I know you've always loved her, so you can't bear to hear anyone badmouth her. If you know that, then why did you do it? Hua Xiqian tightened his grip. Mo Shui furrowed her brows slightly. Xiqian, are you hurting me? Hua Xiqian suddenly let go, but his expression was still dark. I just don't want you to be fooled by her kind appearance. She's already married, but she's still seducing Su Yuyu and Jiang Yi. A woman like her isn't worth your time. Shut your mouth. Xiqian, get out now. Xiqian, don't make me repeat myself. Mo Shui, I'm telling you, don't think that you're mine just because I slept with you. The rules of our game were set from the very beginning. I'm only going to enter your body, I'm not going to enter your life. I hope you'll do the same and stay out of my business. I know better than anyone what kind of person Huamin is. I've known her longer than Qin Chu, so please shut up and get the hell out of my house. Otherwise, you know what I'm going to do. Seeing Hua Xiqian get angry, Mo Shui didn't dare to say anything else. She obediently got up and put on her clothes. She grabbed her bag and left without another word. What she said today was half true and half false. She didn't really think the same way. She took the risk of slandering Huamin because she wanted Hua Xiqian to give up on her. Mo Shui always thought that Hua Xiqian falling in love with Huamin was a tragedy in and of itself. Even an excellent man like Su Yu couldn't get Huamin's love, let alone him. In Mo Shui's eyes, Hua Xiqian was perfect. He was smart, cunning, rich, passionate, and had great skills. When he was with her, he treated her well. He was affectionate but not clingy. The only flaw was that he actually liked Huamin. Both of them liked Huamin, but what was so good about Huamin? The next morning Huamin drove to work at Southside on time. After the morning meeting, he began to make house calls. There were many people who had registered with her because she was very serious. She was never afraid of trouble, nor would she specially prescribe expensive medicine to deceive patients. Therefore he built a very good reputation and profound medical skills. There was a rumor going around that there was a young female neurologist in Southside. She had excellent medical skills and was very kind. As a result, the number of patients had naturally increased. In order not to tire her out, President Wu had already adjusted her emergency registration fee to 68 yuan. It was a very high price, but it still couldn't stop the enthusiastic crowd. Outside the neurology department, all kinds of patients. Dr. Hua is about to take his lunch break. He's going to rest after seeing one more patient. You guys should go rest first and continue in the afternoon. Also, we'll only see 10 patients this afternoon. Come back tomorrow. Dr. Hua will be tired and his body won't be able to take it. Assistant Qinjie had been helping out with Huamin's work ever since the higher-ups approved Qinjie's application to become an official employee. She treated Huamin like a savior and took care of her boss with great care. Chief, there's one more patient this morning. Qinjie reminded him through the internal line. Got it, let her in. Huamin hung up the phone and pinched the bridge of his nose. He was clearly tired. Seeing patients wasn't like other things. Although it didn't require physical strength, it required a lot of mental effort. This was especially true for auditing neurology. Although there weren't many surgeries, the patients' conditions were difficult to treat. Most of the patients were mentally or psychologically ill. Mental patients were often seen. Some of the patients would even suddenly become aggressive, which was very unfavorable to Huamin. Fortunately, she was slowly getting used to it. In her words, it wasn't easy to earn 2 million yuan a year. She was always on tenterhooks. Hello, Chief. The last patient in the morning walked in. He was a man wearing a mask and was dressed very fashionably. Take a seat and tell me about your situation, Huamin said in a friendly manner. Okay. After saying this, the man took off his mask. After seeing his face clearly, Huamin was shocked. Chapter 1185. Why are you here? Huamin had always had a good memory. Especially someone she had just met. She might not be interested in the name Jiang Yi, but she was no stranger to this face. He was the man who kept hitting on her at Seductive Fox last night. Why can't it be me? Are you surprised? The man asked with a smile. Yes. I'm surprised too. I didn't know you were a young lady from GK. I also didn't expect you to be a neurologist at such a young age. You're even a chief physician. How amazing are you? Huamin wasn't happy at all about Jiang Ye's compliments. Instead, she said nonchalantly, "You're not here to chat with me, you're here to see a doctor, right?" You have a sharp tongue. Yes, I'm here to see a doctor. Sorry to trouble you, Dr. Hua. After speaking, Jiang Yi smiled again. Huamin picked up the medical record that Jiang Yi had filled out earlier and saw the words loneliness phobia written on it. Huamian scanned through some other information. Then she looked up and asked, "Did you diagnose your autism yourself, or did a doctor from another hospital diagnose you?" "I did it myself." "Huh? What makes you think you have this illness? Do you know what it is?" "I do. It's an extremely rare mental illness. Yes, the symptoms of loneliness phobia are that you don't like to be alone. You always want to be in crowded places. Once you're alone, you'll be afraid of sound. You'll even have nightmares. During this process, you'll have auditory, visual, and auditory hallucinations. Similar to depression, this illness is one of the most difficult mental illnesses to treat. So, Huamin paused for a second and asked, "Do you really have this illness, or are you here to tease me and test my medical skills?" "Hi, you're smart. How did you figure that out?" Jiang Yi was impressed. He really didn't have this illness, but he made it up because he wanted to see Huamin at work. To see what kind of state she was in at work, the results were surprisingly good. He thought that Huamin was as cute as the girl next door at work as she was last night. On the contrary, Huamin was very serious, rigid, and even a little unreasonable when he was working seriously. His communication with the patient was also somewhat cold. Sometimes he would even interrogate the patient as if he was interrogating a criminal. But she couldn't be blamed for this because if she didn't do it, she would have died. If the patient did not feel pressured, many of them would subconsciously lie because they did not feel pressured. He would conceal some of his symptoms, which would affect Huamin's diagnosis and treatment. "I'm sorry, Mr. Jiang. If you're here to play, then I don't have time to accompany you. Please go out, turn left, and get off the elevator. Go home early, wash up, and sleep. Leave such a precious opportunity to see a doctor for someone who needs it, okay?" Huamin's words left Jiang Yi speechless. "Young lady, do you always speak so harshly? There's no need to be polite to patients who don't respect doctors." "Yes, I have to correct you. You're just a patient pretending to be a patient. I hate people like you the most. You're so boring that you want to take up other people's time to see a doctor." Huamin lowered her head and tossed Jiang Ye's medical record onto the table. It was obvious that she didn't want to say another word to him. "Hey, are you really angry?" I don't mean any harm. I was just joking with you." Jiang Yi immediately explained when he saw that Huamin didn't want to talk to him anymore. "I'm sorry, Mr. Jiang, I don't think I'm close enough to you to joke around. Please be mindful of your status." Huamin raised her head sternly and said word by word, "Are you always so mean to President Qin at home?" Jiang Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he looked at the young lady in front of him. Chapter 1186. Huamin glanced at him and replied in all seriousness, "Your question is hilarious. First of all, this is my personal business and I don't have to tell you. Second of all, you're pretending to be a patient and wasting other patients' time. I don't know what your ultimate goal is. Third of all, if you don't leave in 5 seconds, I'm going to call security to escort you out." "You don't have to be so serious. Young lady, you don't know how to flirt." Jiang Yi smiled helplessly. 5. "Hey Huamin, are you serious? You're going to kick me out?" 4. Huamin counted in all seriousness. "I'm a superstar." 3. "Mrs. Qin, don't be so serious. For President Qin's sake, please don't be like this, okay?" 2. Huamin didn't give up. I'll leave. I'll leave right now, right now." In the end, Jiang Yi compromised. Before Huamin could count to 5, he quickly got up and left. "Wait," Huamin called out from behind him. Jiang Yi was pleasantly surprised, thinking that Huamin was going back on his word. He immediately turned around. Huamin pointed at the medical records on the table and said with a dark expression, "Take this away." Jiang Yi picked up the medical records on the table, unwilling to give up. Before he left, he didn't forget to look at Huamin and say something meaningful. "Young lady, you're ruthless." Huamin still ignored him. She didn't want to waste her breath on patients like this. Walking out of Southside Recuperation Center, Jiang Yi put on his mask and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He hadn't been kicked out by a woman in years. He was a movie superstar. How did he end up in this state? This Lady Qin wasn't normal at all. Jia, call the next patient. You're done already, Chief. It's almost lunch break. Why don't you continue in the afternoon? Qin Jia's heart ached for Huamin, so she kindly reminded him. There's still some time. I can still look at one more. Put it in. Huamin wasn't in a good mood. If Jiang Yi hadn't cut the queue and played a prank on him, he would have been in a bad mood. Perhaps she wasn't that tired. It was already hard enough for a doctor to deal with diseases, but he still had to deal with these boring patients. However, the strange thing was that Suyu had once pretended to be a patient to see her, but she didn't have such a strong sense of disgust. She hated Jiang Yi. He was almost 40 years old, but he didn't act like a man in his 40s at all. At noon, Huamin went to the cafeteria for lunch after seeing the last patient. In the afternoon, President Wu came to Southside for an inspection. He also brought along the leaders of the Provincial Ministry of Health. As a key doctor, Huamin accompanied various leaders to inspect the environment of the South Side. Then he gave a godlike explanation. It was almost 6:30 p.m. by the time she got off work. She had unknowingly worked another hour of overtime. After taking off her white coat and changing into her clothes, she walked out of Southside to recuperate. After she got into her car, she called Qin Chu. Honey, I'm still in a meeting. You should go home first. If you're hungry, eat first. Don't wait for me. This was Qin Chu's voicemail. He had set it up especially for her. After she hung up, she drove straight to South Hill Manor. There were a lot of maids at South Hill Manor, so Huamin rarely had the chance to cook for himself. Therefore, it was a lot less fun. Since she was in the mood today, she decided to cook a few dishes for Mr. Qin. She was going to drive to the supermarket to buy some fresh ingredients. However, she didn't expect to be rear-ended by a BMW X5 on the highway. Everyone was driving normally and Huamin didn't slow down or stop. Even so, they were still hit. What the fuck? Huamin got out of the car. The owner of the X5 also got out of the car. It was a young woman. She had never seen this woman before, but she was very familiar with the woman beside her. It was Song Yisher. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Huamin stared at them with wide eyes. Xian, look at you. How could you drive like that? You hit Miss Hua. Song Yisher gloated as she looked at the girl beside her. Chapter 1187. Are you a newbie? Why are you driving like this? Even if you want to die, don't drag me down with you, okay? Huamin frowned slightly and ignored Song Yisher's mockery. Instead, he questioned the girl who was driving. Even if I hit you on purpose, so what? What right do you have to be so arrogant about stealing someone else's mistress? The girl named Xian seemed to be full of hostility towards Huamin. If Song Yisher wasn't here, Huamin would have thought that he ran into a mental patient. What mistress? She was so confused. This girl wasn't Song Yisher's so-called best friend. She was just Song Yisher's uncle's daughter. Her name was Song Yisher and her father was the director of the Land Bureau, a very powerful person. Song Yisher had been studying in Australia, and now that it was almost Chinese New Year, she went home early for the holidays. As soon as she came back, she saw that her cousin was unhappy, so she asked and found out about Song Yisher's troubles. The version that Song Yisher told her cousin was like this. Song Yisher and Qin Chu met when they were 8 years old, and they loved each other since they were young. However, someone took advantage of the fact that she was studying abroad. Not only did she have Qin Chu, but she was also bullying her. So in Song Yisher's subconscious mind, Huamin was a shameless mistress who stole her cousin's man. Xian, let it go. Song Yisher pretended to be a good person and pulled her sister back. What do you mean let it go? Sis, you're too kind. You can't be soft-hearted towards women like her. Huamin frowned and crossed his arms as he looked at the two girls in front of him. Nice double act. You two are drama actors, right? Huamin looked at them amused. Drama? I'll tell you the truth, Huamian, I don't like you, so what? There are no good people in the Hua family. Hua Xiqian is a womanizer, and Hua Yanyan shamelessly seduced the young master of the Shen family. How dare you try to steal Hua Xiqian from Wei Ying? Hua Si is even more useless. Oh right, I heard that he's not even a part of the Hua family. His mother had an affair with another man and gave birth to him. You, on the other hand, always steal other people's lovers. You're so shameless. Anyway, there are no good people in the Hua family. Miss, please make yourself clear. How did I snatch him? My cousin has been living with the Qin family since she was 8 years old. She treats the two elders of the Qin family like her own parents. She is also in love with Qin Chu. Really? If that's the case, why isn't she Mrs. Qin? Huamin asked calmly. That's because you shamelessly interfered and ruined the relationship between my cousin and brother Qin Chu, okay? If they're really in love, no one can ruin it, right? That's because you're too scheming and vicious. My cousin has always been kind, of course she can't compare to you, Song Yishuan argued. Huamin glanced at Song Yishu coldly. Is this how you teach your sister? Part of what she said is true. I did know Qin Chu when I was 8 years old. Huamin smiled faintly. If that's the case, then you met him too late. Qin Chu was born on the same day as him at the hospital. That's the girl who was born on the same day as him. That's the girl who was born on the same day as Qin Chu. What's the point of you two taking up the highway and talking nonsense with me? Huamin was very logical and never lost in an argument. His words made the two women's faces turn red. Indeed, if they were talking about earlier, 8 years old was nothing. Being born at the same time was more important. You're being unreasonable. Song Yishuan yelled angrily. Xianxian, let's go, Song Yishu said. I'm sorry, but you guys can't leave right now. My car was hit by you guys. You have to give me an explanation, right? Huamin said with a smile. She wasn't that generous. Her car was hit, yet she still had to pay for it. Money wasn't a big deal, but she couldn't let this go. Chapter 1188. Don't worry, I won't go back on my word with your crappy car, Song Yishuan said shamelessly. Huamin was speechless. Crappy car? How dare she call his car crappy? An Audi R8 was many times better than a BMW X5, okay? If she drove a Bugatti Veyron, then it would be reasonable for her to say something like that. Huamin realized that the Song family was truly annoying. Don't worry, I won't scam you. The insurance company will be here in a bit, and we'll give you a detailed list of the compensation. You can just transfer the money when the time comes. Huamin was easy to talk to. You crashed, pay and leave. The process was simple. However, someone didn't know what to do. Song Yishuan rolled her eyes and suddenly said, Hua, I heard that you're a genius. I've never said anything like that, Yi Zichen said. It wasn't that Huamin was trying to be low-key, but it was true that she never said that she was a genius. That was what other people said, but that's what other people say. Song Yishuan was obviously not convinced. That's other people's business, it doesn't represent my opinion. Anyways, I heard that you're an all-rounder. You can learn things that other people take 10 years to learn in less than a year. You can learn things that other people take 5 years to learn in less than a month. Isn't that an exaggeration? What do you want? Just say it, we're all busy and I don't have time to play word games with you. Huamin looked at his watch. He really didn't have the patience. Being around someone he didn't like was torturous. Now whenever he saw Song Yishu, Huamin would be in a bad mood. Okay, then I'll make it simple. Do you dare to race with me? Race? Huamin was slightly surprised. Xianxian, don't, it's too dangerous. Let's go, we'll pay her back. Song Yishu seemed to be trying to stop her, but that woman had a temper. The more you tried to stop her, the more she wanted to do it. Therefore, Huamin couldn't help but suspect that Song Yishu wasn't trying to stop her. Instead, she was trying to use her cousin's personality to start a war. Do you dare? Let's have a match. What's the benefit of racing with you? The benefit is that if you beat me, I'll buy you a new R8. It's only $1,000,000 car. Song Yishuan's tone was arrogant. It was true that Song Yishuan could drive a sports car worth millions of yuan, but she had to keep a low profile because she was a family member of an official. She did have a lot of money, so she didn't care about this 1 million. What if I lose? Huamin asked again. If you lose, you have to apologize to my cousin in person and admit that you stole her beloved man. That's not fair. How about this? If I win, the Song sisters will have to avoid me whenever Huamin appears. Make way for me. What do you think? Shameless. Song Yishuan was furious. Xianxian, are you confident that you can win? Song Yishu lowered her voice. Don't worry, sister. I often race when I was abroad. I'm very good at drifting. Song Yishuan was very confident. Song Yishu nodded in relief. If she lost, she would have to make way for Huamin whenever she saw him. That would be too stupid. If you agree then we'll bet. If you don't then forget it. Huamin made up his mind and began to discuss the stakes. We agree but we have one more request, Song Yishuan said. What is it? We have to change the track. This is a highway and it's very dangerous to race here. There are a lot of cars. Sure, where do you want to go? Huamin asked. Akina Mountain, what do you think? Song Yishuan raised her head and asked provocatively. Huamin smiled meaningfully. Akina Mountain? That's not racing, that's suicide. That mountain was famous for being steep and the track was very crooked. Even normal drivers had to be careful. Why did this woman want to race there? So, are you really going to die? You don't want to race, do you? Huamin glanced at the Song sisters coldly. What? Are you scared? Song Yishuan raised her chin and looked up at him with her nose in the air. She looked like a scoundrel. Song Yishuan on the other hand didn't say anything. It seemed like she wanted to use Song Yishuan to teach Huamin a lesson. After 3 seconds of silence, Huamin glanced at Song Yishuan and said, Sure, but I want her to sit in the passenger seat. Upon hearing this, Song Yishuan's face darkened. She had to admit that Huamin was ruthless enough to drag her into this race. Chapter 1189. It's between us, why are you dragging my cousin into this mess? If you're scared, just say it, you coward. Song Yishuan seemed to think that her cousin was being treated unfairly. If it weren't for your cousin, why would we have this problem? So, if you can't stay out of this then let's go together. My request is simple, if you don't agree I won't race with you. Cousin. Song Yishuan looked at Song Yishuan with a troubled expression on her face. Xianxian, forget it, we won't race. Pay her money and let's go home. Song Yishuan was truly scared. Every year, countless racing enthusiasts died in car accidents at the Akina Mountain Raceway. The locals called it the Road of Death. What kind of joke was this, letting her sit in the passenger seat? He was playing with her life. This time she really wanted Song Yishuan to back out of the race. However, this cousin of hers was great in every way except for her stubborn temper. The more you don't want me to do something, the more I want to do the opposite. Therefore, when Song Yishuan tried to persuade her, she became even more arrogant. Don't worry, cousin, you can sit in my car, no one else will. I've been racing for 6 years, Song Yishuan promised. She was only 24 years old this year, the same age as Huamin, but she had been driving for 6 years. Needless to say, she was quite arrogant. When she was 18 years old, she got her driver's license and started drifting. Even when she was overseas, she often hung out with people from racing clubs. She definitely had no problems. Also, she observed Huamin's car for a while. Huamin didn't drive fast and was very stable. Therefore, he probably wasn't the kind of person who could drive a car. Huamin's car was an Audi R8, which was a trendy sports car. Song Yishuan's X5 was an off-road car, so she might have an advantage when it came to mountain roads. Song Yishuan thought that she had no problems with the car. She should be able to crush that Huamian in no time. That's why she was so confident in letting her cousin sit in her car. But Song Yishuan wanted to say something but was interrupted by her cousin. Don't say any more, cousin. It's settled. Don't you want revenge? I'll help you. Maybe that woman will get into a car accident and die. We won't have to do anything. Then brother Qinchu won't be yours. Song Yishuan lowered her voice and whispered into Song Yishuan's ear. Song Yishuan was young but she had a vicious heart. She had entered the race with the attitude that she would die if the car crashed. I don't think that's a good idea. Song Yishuan was in a dilemma. Although she wanted Huamin to leave Qinchu, she never wanted her to disappear. Asking her to die. This idea was a bit scary. If Qinchu knew about this, he definitely wouldn't let him off, right? Song Yishuan saw her cousin's concern and added, It's an accident that she got into this accident. Cousin, don't worry, they won't blame it on us. We had a verbal agreement who would know that we raced with her. Then before Song Yishuan could say anything, Song Yishuan dragged her into the car. Let's meet at the top of Akina Mountain in 15 minutes for the official race, okay? Okay. Huamin nodded. Then both parties drove to Akina Mountain. The back of Huamin's car wasn't seriously damaged. It was supposed to be a small accident and they could just pay for it. However, Song Yishuan didn't let it go and insisted on racing. Huamin obviously knew what they were thinking. Since she agreed to the race, she was confident. She had been following the rules and driving slowly all these years. In fact, she wanted to indulge in drifting for a while. Plus, if she won, Song Yisha would avoid her whenever she saw her in the future. What a great decision. That was why she made such a daring decision. The race at Akina Mountain was decided with a single thought. Inside GK's office, Chin-Chu's left eyelid began to twitch. Every time something like this happened, it was always when Huamin got into trouble. He picked up his phone and dialed a familiar number. Honey? Huamin felt guilty and immediately called out sweetly. Chin-Chu felt like something was wrong. One who was unaccountably solicitous was hiding evil intentions. Honey, where are you? Chapter 1190. I'm on my way home. Huamin answered cheerfully. Really? Chin-Chu was obviously suspicious. Of course. You're not home yet. Chin-Chu looked at his watch and felt that it was a bit late. Not yet, I actually want to buy groceries and cook for myself. Is your chef's cooking not good enough? Are you sick of it? Do you want to hire a few more chefs? Chin-Chu knew that Huamin had always loved cooking, so he suggested. No, it's good enough. Ever since we moved to South Hill Manor, I've gained more than 1.5 kilograms. This was true. Huamin used to weigh only 94 kilograms, but now she was more than 97 kilograms. She was only 1.5 kilograms away from breaking 100 kilograms. People always said that beauties were less than 100 kilograms. If she continued to grow like this, she probably wouldn't be able to be called a beauty for the rest of her life. You're still skinny. Eat more and gain another 5 kilograms. Chin-Chu gave her a target. Damn it, just package me like a pig. Huamin protested. However, her protest was futile. Honey, it's cold outside. Come home early, I'll be back as soon as I'm done. Chin-Chu was still worried. Okay honey, I'll wait for you at home, Huamin answered guiltily. Then she hung up the phone. Chin-Chu raised his hand to touch his left eyelid, but it was still twitching. Is there anything else important later? Chin-Chu looked at Yang and asked. He thought that if there wasn't anything important he would go home early. Although Huamin agreed, he still didn't feel at ease. Sir, we're having dinner with President Liu of Wanhe tonight. We're going to talk about the water village project that our two companies are developing together. Chin-Chu didn't say anything. The water village project took about a year and a half to come up with a preliminary plan. The two companies would each invest 10 billion yuan to develop Sea City's tourism industry. The government gave them a piece of land by the sea for free so that these entrepreneurs could drive the local economy. Although Sea City was a small city that wasn't well known in the country right now, the per capita income and consumption wasn't low. This place was also full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. At present, the top entertainment companies in the country were here. The headquarters of the largest private bank, Su Family Bank, was also here. The most famous conglomerate in Asia, GK, was here as well. Therefore, Chin-Chu was also optimistic about the tourism industry in the city and planned to develop it well. It could be considered as a contribution to his hometown. Since he was going to have dinner with President Liu that night, Chin-Chu didn't want to postpone or cancel it, so he gave up on the idea of going home early to supervise Huamin. Therefore, then Huamian would have the capital to cause trouble again. At the top of the Akina mountain track, two cars were parked side by side on the track. This was not a tourist attraction and the roads were not good, so there were very few people and cars. Occasionally, a few cars could be seen, but they were all racing enthusiasts who drove them for fun. Huamin gripped the steering wheel tightly. He only had one goal today. He had to win. Paying for her R8 in full was a small matter, but the Song sisters had to stay away from her in the future. This was a big deal. In order to stop the flies and mosquitoes from harassing him, Huamin decided he was going to give it his all. Before this, she had something to announce to everyone, and that was, she had never raced before. Inside the other BMW X5, Song Yishuan looked at Song Yisher, who was sitting beside her. Sis, are you done investigating? Yeah, I found it. Song Yisher kept scrolling through her phone and sending WeChat messages. What's going on? What did they say? Hurry up and tell me. Song Yishuan was eager to try. She had been looking forward to the thrill of racing, so she couldn't wait any longer. You're tuning in to the Biao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.